So welcome everyone. We're here with former Fair Ambassador Victoria McMurchy, and very pleased to be talking with you today, Victoria, and we're excited to hear about your Fall Fair experiences. And I wonder if you could share a little bit about yourself with us today, where you grew up, when you were the Fall Fair Ambassador, and what you do currently.
So as Allison said, I'm Victoria McMurchy. I was the Fall Fair Ambassador, the senior Fall Fair Ambassador for 2013 and 2014. I am the fifth generation to grow up on my family's farm, which is located about a kilometer north of Victoria Corners. I finished my degree in journalism last June, and then I did a postgrad certificate in publishing at Centennial College for the past year. I'm currently home because of COVID, but I'm hoping to move back to Toronto to start my career once it's safe to do so.
How has your experience as a Fall Fair Ambassador affected your life in a positive way?
It was definitely such a unique and positive experience for me. I think the big thing was that I got to meet a bunch of people that I wouldn't have had otherwise if I hadn't had this opportunity. So being the Fall Fair Ambassador, I was able to go out into the community and talk to a lot of community members and just interact with them at different events while promoting the fair. The other great thing too was I got to meet a lot of ambassadors across Ontario, whether that was at the district meetings or the OAAS conference or the CNE. And so it was really great to build a social network. But even though we met 6 years ago, I'm still in contact with a lot of these people today, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. And likewise, how do you feel that the Fall Fair Ambassador program positively affects the community then, perhaps the more local community within the town of the Blue Mountains and that wider agricultural community?
So for me, I always saw the ambassador program as being a representative of the youth in the community. And so even though I had an agricultural background, all of our previous Fall Fairs ambassadors, that wasn't necessarily true for all of them. So it was good to get my foot in the door in the agricultural community and learn more about that in Thornbury, as well as what other communities are doing across the province. And I think too, for the community, it was someone to represent the community at the various district meetings, at the OAAS conference, at the CNE. And it was good because it showed people who have been to our community because they know about the ski hill or they know that it's like a Four Seasons resort, but it gave them an opportunity to learn more about our agricultural background and for them to understand that we do have such a rich agricultural community here.
Absolutely. And who better to represent than, did you say fifth generation?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We actually celebrated 140 years of living on this farm last summer. So
wow, that's amazing. So it really is remarkable that your family story almost parallels the Fall Fair's story, which is celebrating 150 years. This year.
It's crazy.
It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And what made you choose to get involved in the ambassador program to begin with?
So for me, it was a 4-year process from when I first thought about entering the ambassador competition to when I actually competed at the CNE. So I entered in 2011 for the junior ambassador competition and I didn't get it. And then I decided to try again in 2012 for the senior ambassador that time, and I didn't get it. And then in 2013, I ran unopposed, and so I was awarded the opportunity to be the senior ambassador for the fair, and I was very excited to have the chance to represent our community at the CNE, but the CNE states that in order to enter in their competition, you have to be 18 by the start of the CNE, and my birthday's in September. So the fair asked me to stay on for another year so that I could represent the Beaver Valley Agricultural Society at the 2015 CNE. So I had 2 years of being the ambassador, and then I competed at the CNE in 2015, and that was an amazing opportunity. The reason why I wanted to get involved and be the Beaver Valley Fall Fair ambassador was because I always saw the ambassador growing up as a role model, and I knew that one day I'd want to be in that position so that I could give back to our younger generations while still promoting the fair and our agricultural community.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well said. And take me back to the evening of the first time you were awarded the honor of the ambassador title, and can you describe how that felt?
Yeah, it was definitely a whirlwind. It's one of those things where even when I try to think back on it now, there were just so many emotions and things playing into it, because I remember being interviewed by the paper and getting our photos taken and just talking to a bunch of community members and having them congratulate me for being the senior ambassador. And then I remember just like running around at some points like a chicken with my head cut off. But it was such an amazing chance. And then I remember getting home and just being so exhausted. So I just went right to bed because I knew I had to wake up the next morning and go back to the fair and continue with the role the next day. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of emotions, but it was such a unique and fun opportunity.
And on that note, you did mention some of the roles and responsibilities that you had as a fair ambassador, but can you walk us through sort of a typical year, more or less, some of your typical duties that you would have had?
I always saw it as like a breakdown of what happened like the day of the fair, what happens in the community throughout the year, and then what also happens provincially. So the weekend of the fair, you're running around, you're doing a lot of activities. I was in charge of like handing out ribbons with the 4-H shows. I helped run the apple peeling contest, which happens at the fair. One year they let me judge the talent show, which was amazing and a really awesome opportunity. And then in the community, whenever they needed a face for the fair, I was always there with my junior ambassador. So I helped out with the Sugar Plum Fairs some years, the Old Fashioned Christmas, the Easter Extravaganza. The one year they had the rodeo on Main Street and we made an appearance at that. And then also every once in a while, they just need someone to do something. They'd be like, the fair ambassadors, they're on that. They can help out. So I was handing out waters at the marathon that was going on, and I was judging another local speech competition. So it was just kind of all over the place in the community, which was really awesome because I got to meet so many people. And then provincially, we'd have the district meetings, which would take place twice a year, so once in the fall and then once in the spring. And so I'd meet all the other local ambassadors. And then there was also the OAAS conference, which took place in February at the Royal York in Toronto. And then there was also the CNE competition in August. So it was definitely a long year, but it was well worth it, and so many unique and cool chances to get to explore.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a very full, rewarding year.
Yeah.
times two, I guess.
Times two. And what was crazy is this was also like my grade 12/grade 13 year. So I was still juggling high school courses. I was applying to university. I was still involved in a lot of stuff in like my high school community. And then I was also working a part-time job. So the fact that I was able to do all of that still flabbergasts me, because I have no energy to do half those things these days. So
that's amazing. The benefits of the high school years, for sure. Yeah. And do you happen to have some memorabilia from your time as a fair ambassador with you today that you could show us?
Yes, I do. So I still have my sashes. I've pulled the 2014 one because it is a little bit cleaner than the 2013 one. And so this was really awesome because it was kind of the piece that, like, once you wore it, you felt like an ambassador and you knew that you were representing our community. I still have my tiara, which I very rarely wear these days. And the thing about the tiara is, because you're wearing a tiara, people automatically assume you're a princess or queen, but you're not. You're an ambassador. And so every time all of the ambassadors would get together, people would call us princesses and queens, and we'd yell back and be like, no, we're ambassadors. We just wear crowns. So it was definitely a good Disney moment for me. I loved Disney growing up. And so, yes, I could wear a tiara, but I am not a princess. I am an ambassador. And then the other thing I still have, which is really cool, is my name tag from the OAAS conference. And it's not necessarily the name tag that I really love, but it's all these pins. And so what we would do as ambassadors is you would bring either your hometown pin or your fair pin, and then you do like pin trading. So I have a bunch just from random fairs and communities from around the province. Which, yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And it would probably serve as a reminder to how many people you met and how many communities you ultimately connected to within.
Yes. That. Yeah, and the pin trading although it seems kind of like knick-knacky, it was definitely really nice to connect with other people and to like trade pins and trade stories and tell them more about our community and why it is such an awesome place to be.
That's wonderful, and so awesome that you were able to represent the community in that way, for sure. Do you have any highlights or funny stories or anything else you would like to describe for us from your experiences?
This story has become an inside joke with my family, and so I feel like this is the perfect time to tell it. So when I was at the CNE, it was a full weekend event where the ambassadors would come like the Thursday or the Friday of the beginning of the fair, and we'd do interviews and we'd do different sessions with other ambassadors and we'd connect. And then, but the actual competition, the main part, happened the first Sunday. And so in the morning portion of the competition, you'd go up to the microphone, you'd state your name and your agricultural society, and then they'd read a bio that you wrote while you were walking across the stage to show your stage presence. And so I was one of the first ambassadors to go up there because I was the Beaver Valley Agricultural Society. So it was really nice because I could say my name, get my name over and done with, and walk across the stage. But there's about 60 ambassadors. So you have to sit, well, I was standing on stage, but you have to wait a long time to get through everyone and all their bios. And so of the 60 ambassadors, I would say 2/3 of them had the phrase, enjoy spending time with family and friends in their bio, which is a lot once it's repeated over and over again. So I had a huge cheering section. I had about 20 people there. So I had my immediate family, I had my aunts and uncles and cousins, I had some members of the community come and cheer me on, which was really great. And so my family was kind of on the edge of their seats because they were waiting for the phrase, enjoy spending time with family and friends in my bio to appear, and it never did. And so then we had about an hour break in between the morning portion of the competition and the afternoon. And my family approached me and they're like, they were shocked. They were like, do you not enjoy spending time with us? Does our relationship mean nothing to you? And so now anytime I have to write a bio, I always include the phrase, enjoy spending time with families and friends. When I talk to my family every once in a while, they'll be like, oh, so-and-so, they probably enjoy spending time with family and friends. So it's just a funny little moment that I'll now carry throughout my entire life. So.
That's a great one. So yeah, it's going to affect you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share with us about your experience as a Fall Fair ambassador, or anything you'd like to say to someone considering running as a Fall Fair ambassador today?
I think if you're definitely considering running for a Fall Fair ambassador, do it, because even if you don't get it your first time, you might get it the second time. You'll get an inside look into how much energy and sacrifice goes into running the Fall Fair from our volunteers. It's also such a unique opportunity. Not many people can say that they were the Fall Fair ambassador, and because you get to meet so many cool and interesting people, it's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about being the ambassador. I think people often think that when you have to be a girl because there's a tiara and a sash, and that's not true. The CNE ambassador the year that I competed was actually a guy, and it was the second time a guy had been CNE ambassador, but he was the very first ambassador from his agricultural society to win the honor. And you also don't need to come from an agricultural background. Yes, I grew up on a farm, but again, that doesn't mean all of our previous ambassadors had grown up on farms or had been involved in the agricultural community or the fair before. And I think too, though, it's not just a weekend commitment. So if you do have a lot of stuff going on and you're not sure if you can juggle it, definitely think about whether or not you can hold this responsibility, because you are being a role model and a representative of our community.
And anything else to complete our Q&A today from your perspective? Anything else that you would like to share?
I would just like to thank the Beaver Valley Agricultural Society again for letting me have the opportunity of being the senior ambassador twice, and also to encourage everyone to go out to the fair, whether it's on this year or next year, to help us celebrate 150 years.
And thank you so much, Victoria, for taking the time to chat with us today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you more. And thanks so much again for representing the community in this way in the past, and it sounds like moving forward as well.
Thank you, Allison. It was
Yeah,
a
thank
great
you.
time talking to you.